Kevin Cogan, this year you've had your problems. You know, you came onto this Penske team, you've banged up a few cars and everything. Are you disappointed?
Well, I think just about every time we've banged a car, it's been a mechanical failure, except for one. And yeah, it's very disappointing. You know, it's tough. You go out and run good, and like last weekend, this weekend, and you just little tiny things go wrong. And this one was an engine, but
it's got to be very frustrating.
I'll tell you, I'm going to write a book about bad luck. I hope there's a reciprocal.
There may be. What was it this time?
It was an engine this time. It sounded a very heavy metal sound, so it was probably something fairly serious. I didn't even try to keep it running because it died right away.
All right, keep plugging along and the luck will change, I promise you.
Thanks, Bruce.
Okay, Charlie.
Thank you, Bruce. In addition to the race here today, the British Grand Prix took place at Brands Hatch just outside of London. Let's go there now for a report.
And Derek Ongaro, the official starter who starts all the Grand Prix, will be looking down the line, waiting for the unfortunate Finn, Keke Rosberg, to come into position. That means, of course, that the two Brabhams are up front, Riccardo Patrese and Nelson Piquet, and that's the trouble. Out goes the Patrese, and out goes Arnoux. Well, Arnoux yet again has failed to get going in a Grand Prix, and meantime, with Patrese out, up to Druids Hill Bend goes the second Brabham. It is that of world champion Nelson Piquet. So massive drama right from the beginning. Rosberg fails to start. Out goes Patrese at the start, and out goes Arnoux, and so two of the turbos are out.
And Lauda took big advantage of the mess at the start, and went straight up into second place from his 5th grid position, but really that was a tragic start. We got a wonderful race on our hands. We lost the pole man Rosberg, who's already up there. You saw him in shot now. Rosberg has already made up about, I think, getting on for 10 places in the race, but Patrese stalling on the grid really was a terrible thing, and I don't understand how Arnoux hit him, because he had plenty of chance to see him, but it was a bit messy, and we've lost 3 of the front runners, although we've got Rosberg coming to the field. And Piquet has slowed down. That's Piquet cruising into the pits, so Piquet's got a problem.
We're going to see Piquet lose the lead in a moment. The Brabham has flown. Nelson Piquet is out of the race on lap 10, and that means to say there's going to be a new race leader, and that new race leader will be Niki Lauda, the dark horse that many people... There he is! There is Lauda. Watch him now, and you will see him pass Nelson Piquet's Brabham BMW. Look all round the picture as Niki Lauda, double-X world champion, the man who won at Long Beach, will shortly take the lead.
And for the balance of 64 laps, Niki Lauda outlasted the field and came home to take the checkered flag for his 2nd Grand Prix win of the season, raising his Grand Prix season point total to 24. That puts him into 3rd place in the 1982 Drivers' Championship race. We'll be back with the conclusion of the Michigan 500. This tremendous racetrack, and now with 15 laps to go, it is still Johncock in the lead and Andretti chasing him.
Gordon Johncock sitting out in front in that Wildcat 8. Mario Andretti is back behind him, but with these closing laps, the questions that have to come up, Charlie, is how much punishment have both man and machine taken over this 500 miles? They say it is physically brutal. It has been very hot here today. Temperatures running up into the 90s. The track surface temperature above 130 degrees. They have for lap after lap after lap run it better than 197 miles an hour. What that can be doing to Johncock, what it's doing to Andretti, what it's doing to the machines, nobody knows. We have seen cars suddenly go out. We saw Rick Mears just suddenly dart to the wall. Kevin Cogan's engine let go. I don't know how long it's been since a Penske car has not finished. So it's not over yet. Johncock's out in front, but he has got to be listening to everything that happens in that car.
The interval clock, the time between Johncock and Andretti. 10.4 seconds. 13 laps to go for Johncock.
Gordon Johncock, a native of Michigan. We told you his home is just a few miles from here in Coldwater. Was born in Hastings. He's out in front. His wife is down in the pits now with Gary Gerald. Gary?
Well, Paul, you can feel it. It's always this way, it seems, in 500-mile races. The tension begins to mount. I don't think anybody feels it more than the wife of Gordon Johncock. Linda, your feelings at this very moment with about a dozen laps remaining.
Oh, I'm nervous. I'm probably not quite as nervous as I was in Indianapolis because there's a little bit more distance between first and second. it, but you don't ever head for victory circle until you get the checkered flag. But Gordon's always wished that he could have a super year, and it looks like he's going to have it.
A few weeks ago at Indianapolis, it was almost the reverse. The 10-second lead began to shrink incredibly in the final lap. Now Gordy's picking up about a half-second lap. He's stretching the advantage over Mario. Does that make you breathe any easier?
Nope, not until the checkered flag. You just can't. There's too many things that can happen.
I understand Gordy picked your wardrobe today, too.
Yeah, and I've been self-conscious of it all day.
Well, maybe it's going to pay off. Maybe we'll see you in victory lane here in a few minutes.
He likes red.
Okay, Linda Johncock down here, keeping a close eye on number 20. Paul, Charlie?
All right, thank you. 11 laps to go, Paul.
You know, the crew calls Linda Johncock Grandma. I haven't the slightest idea why.
Has to be a compliment.
Gordon Johncock competed in his first 500-mile race, 1965. He's been driving for years. There's his record so far this year. He had an ill-handling car at Phoenix. Atlanta, he came home second. Of course, he won the Indianapolis 500. His second win, he won it in 1973 as well. Then on the second oval race after that, Milwaukee, again first place. He didn't fare as well on the road track at Cleveland, but he is leading here today. He was the national champion in 1976.
And he has now just over 9.5 laps remaining to take him into victory lane.
Gordon Johncock, car number 20, a Wildcat 8B, a car that they prototyped a bit last year. This is, by the way, the car that he won the Indianapolis 500 in that he's racing right now. They changed it slightly from a short course to a long course. If you look at the side of it, as it comes through the turn, you'll see that there is an opening in the side of the car alongside the number. The same with Andretti's car. That is the long track configuration for long distance racing. Again, the interval coming up as we wait for Andretti to come through. Andretti now a bit further back, 12.6 seconds. On the short track version, they don't have that opening in the side of the car. They're changing, in that case, what they're doing is changing the downforce that is created by the ground effects used on these modern race cars.
Gordon Johncock has won more than $2 million in IndyCar racing and could well add another $100,000 to his total.
Gordon Johncock easing back just a bit on this last lap, 195 miles an hour. Perhaps he sees victory ahead. It's 242 laps complete. Average speed of the race, despite all of the yellows, is up there, 152.5 miles an hour.
Johncock going for his 24th IndyCar victory. The man chasing him, Andretti, has a total of 34, but right now it is Johncock truly in the driver's seat.
Johncock just moved past Al Unser in that number 10 car. Unser is right behind this picture. Al has had a tough time trying to develop the Longhorn for Bobby Hillen. And they changed the side pods on the car, changed it from what they called a Vortex car to the current Venturi car that they're running. They say it's improved, and obviously it's in there and running very well. And by the way, they have a hang tough trophy that they give to the guy with the hardest luck. They've already awarded it to Mike Mosley here. He's the fellow that had pieces come off of his race car. He was in the middle of a bunch of accidents, but Mosley's doing one whale of a job and is still running.
Johncock continuing to lead. Coming up to 6 laps to go. Now he's got it. 6 laps to go. But when they write the story of this Michigan 500, they'll have to include Mario Andretti, who started in 33rd place and is currently running in second as we come to the final half-dozen laps.
One thing to think about here, Charlie, at the beginning of the race, Andretti started about a half a mile behind Johncock. That's just about the interval that separates them right now as we come to the close of the race. So if only Andretti could have started on that front row, maybe it would have made a difference.
Coming to the start-finish line, 5 laps to go for Johncock.
Johncock's head moves back and forth. He has to be a very tired race driver in that car. Again, a pad on his right side to help hold his helmet upright. The weight of the helmet and the lateral G-forces really tiring his neck. Kevin Cogan once told us that in 10 or 12 laps, your neck muscles are just completely gone on a high bank like this, and you just relax and let the pad put you in proper position. But his arms have to be incredibly tired, and wearing that multiple layer of clothing, that fireproof clothing that is the driver's suit in this hot temperature, you can imagine how that guy feels as he goes around Howdy Holmes.
4 laps to go now for Johncock.
Look at the worry on Linda's face. We've got one car smoking, and that's Scott Brayton.
Coming out of the pits, he started to smoke, and then he just took a quick left turn. The yellow has not come out. He did not get to the racetrack, did not drop any debris or any oil.
They should not go yellow at this point. There is an agreement that once they get close to the finish of a race, they will not put out the yellow flag. While John Cock continues to circle under the green and Brayton has his problems, Al Unser comes in, tops off fuel, and heads back out. Al was running in third place at the time of that stop. I doubt if he lost third position. There's Brayton climbing out, giving a helping hand by Steve Edwards, the safety director. Second place car, Mario Andretti, car 40, about 10 seconds back. And now John Cock.
2.5 laps to go.
Keeping an average speed still up above 191 miles an hour, but easing back just a bit. Victory may be within sight now, but John Cock has been here so many times before, and then something went wrong. At Indianapolis, he was racing with A.J. Foyt and had a sharp chance of leading and winning that race when suddenly in the last laps an engine let go. So John Cock stretches back to the 1950s, remembering close finishes, close because the car failed on the last lap. But here is Gordon Johncock on the backstretch. He should see the white flag this time around, meaning 2 miles to go. It's been a long 500.
Very smooth coming through turn 3. On the high bank. Safely through turn 4. Looking for the white flag. The fans waving at him. 1 lap to go, and to carry him through the final lap, the most famous voice in racing in America. Here's Paul Page. Paul?
Gordon Johncock in the first turn now. He brings the car down the middle line. The fast line a bit higher than where he's running now. He's taking it easy. Linda Johncock is watching from the pits. He still has to make it down this backstretch and around 2 more turns. A bump leading into the 3rd turn. He bounces over that bump, sails down into the 3rd turn. Gordon Johncock now 1 turn separates him from victory at the Michigan 500-mile race. He won 500 miles at Indianapolis. He knows he's got it won. His hand in the air in victory. Gordon Johncock sees the double checkered flags, and Gordon Johncock has won the Michigan 500.
And he has won the first 2 legs of the Triple Crown, the Pocono 500, the 15th of next month. And he could go for the triple this year. Johncock winning the first 2 500, the second jewel of the Triple Crown, the Michigan 500 here this afternoon.
So Gordon Johncock wins at the Michigan 500. There's been a lot of talk about reviving some heavy award for that Triple Crown. Here comes Mario Andretti toward the line as Johncock continues on his victory lap. Andretti finishing in 2nd place, and Johncock now coasting down the line as they begin a celebration down on Winner's Circle, waiting for Gordon Johncock to bring her home.
And we'll be back with the winner at the Michigan 500 on an afternoon that the rain stayed away, and we're glad of that. We'll be back in a moment. Stay with us.
First deep breath, a victory kiss from Linda. The applause begins to build down here. And Gordy,
stay right there. We'll get it. Everything's cool.
Gordy, this is getting to be a habit. Indianapolis 500 miles. Now you've done it here at Michigan. It's got to be a tremendous, tremendous feeling.
Well, I don't even know what to say. I just know I got one hell of a crew.
Yes.
The car really wasn't working very well at first, but they worked with it all day and got it working for me.
You were having, we understand, the push problem. They were changing the angle on the wing virtually every time you came into the pits the first few stops.
Yes, they were. Because it just wasn't working that well at first, you know. Finally, we hit the right combination like we did at the Speedway. And, you know, it's not hard. It's just, it rode and handled like that Cadillac I've been driving for the last few days out there.
You had the great battle with your teammate Mario Andretti. We saw some sensational racing there for several laps. Were there any concerns? Were there any close calls?
Well, we got close a couple of times, yes. We did get a little bit close, but, you know, that's racing, and I'm going to race him just as hard as I am anybody, and he's going to do the same with me. It doesn't make any difference.
There was a long dry spell leading up to 1982. It was nearly 3 years since there was a victory. Now there have been 3 this year, 2 of them 500-milers. This looks like it might be a hot year for Gordon Johncock.
Well, I hope so. You know, everything just hanging together. The last few laps, you know, you imagine everything going wrong with the car. You know, the tires, I felt like I was riding rough and just, you know, you never know until you come across for the checkered flag, because there's been so many times that I've had so many things happen, you know, in the last 10 or 15 laps. So I never believe it until I see the checkered flag.
Well, congratulations from the entire Sports World crew at Gordon. Gordon Johncock, our victor here, as we go back upstairs now to Charlie and Paul.
All right, thank you, Gary. And right now, let's jump over and join Bruce Jenner. Bruce?
Mario Andretti, let me say, what a fabulous job of driving. After just a few days ago losing your #1 car, sitting and getting into the #2 car, and he just drove beautifully.
Well, like I said, I tried, but I had some aches besides from yesterday. And the car, after one stop, I just couldn't get it working again. Car was so loose, and I was just barely hanging on. A little more, come on.
I don't blame you. You look awfully tired at this point, but congratulations on a fine ride.
Thank you.
Charlie?
And that is the luck of a man who competed, and there is no shame in finishing second in a 500-mile race.
First time, though, that he mentioned that he might have strained something during that crash, and that, of course, could make a very large difference. And he kept quiet about it completely, not only to us, but to the crew members. He didn't tell them either.
Everyone. First time, as you said, that it has been mentioned. The unofficial results: Johncock, Andretti, Unser, Rahal, and Brabham, the top 5. And what a day of racing this has been, Paul.
Average speed of the winner, 153.89 miles an hour. Not without its incidents, though. 2 accidents in the race. Mario Andretti, who in the early going of this 500-mile race, starting in the back, moved up, and then this was the first accident. Jose Garza got the car restarted, as did Tony Bentonhausen. But Herm Johnson destroyed the right side of his race car. Second year in a row he has had bad luck at the Michigan 500. Then there was this situation, as A.J. Foyt suddenly saw Hector Abaque coming across the front, slamming into his car and slamming Foyt into the wall. Fortunately, Foyt has only a small puncture wound and is not seriously injured.
So this is the type of excitement that we saw this afternoon. Rick Mears also went into the wall in turn 2. So a lot of wild, open racing today, and a lot of excitement that we always look forward to in IndyCar racing. For Gary Gerald, Bruce Jenner, Paul Page, this is Charlie Jones. The Michigan 500, the second jewel of the Triple Crown, and it is taken by Gordon Johncock.
A promotion.